Join me as you and I and you take a journey to become better writers together and geek out. As always, that was interesting. I don't know if you're seeing it, but I'm seeing it. And we're starting off in a weird little fuzzy place. But hey, life is life when you're on live TV. Right, Shadow Rabbit?
I feel it. No, man,
Oh,
you're
man.
good. You're good. Man, that opening is so
Yeah, I love that opening. And Matt did a good
Gets
job
you
on that
ready to
one.
rock.
Yeah. It's all written all the way, all the time. Ready to rock, ready to go. Speaking of Nat, there he goes.
Was
What's up? Dude,
was
there we go. That's much
Matt
better.
keeps asking me a question about the city. I keep forgetting. What was it? Yeah.
Oh, you heard about the wild case of Ligma going around?
Uh-oh.
I
I'm
don't
falling
watch
for that. I know you got 20 on that one earlier in the green room, so I'm not falling for that.
See, he already knew the joke.
I didn't know the joke. I haven't given a straight answer to a question like that in 20 years.
I know you're all wondering, wait, why are the written doing out so early? Well, you know, we're going to be talking to our friend Dirk Manning and, of course, Scoot, because they have Cthulhu. I know I was going to say it wrong.
Cthulhu Jr.
There you go, Cthulhu Jr. Because I want to say Cthulhu. Cthulhu.
He always says Cthulhu.
Cthulhu, did you say?
That's what I usually
That's
go
all
on.
he
For
says.
some reason, I want to say Cthulhu.
Got to read more Lovecraft, man. You'll get it.
No, it doesn't matter. I've been saying this for years.
You know, technically, Cthulhu is not really the canon way to say it anyway. It's kind of more like the socially acceptable version. So you know what? Cthulhu Jr. it is for tonight. That's fine. That's fine.
How about for those who are uninitiated? What is the correct pronunciation of Cthulhu?
Ooh.
The reason that we say Cthulhu is because the canon version, according to Lovecraft himself, is not nearly as cool. Of course, he goes in his whole diatribe about how it wasn't meant to be said by the human tongue, blah, 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 blah. But the closest pronunciation that he said people could utter would be Cthulhu.
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 But Cthulhu just sounds so much cooler, so that's
Yeah. I'm like,
I don't know.
like Cthulhu.
That sounds
Cthulhu
like an
actually
early
sounds cooler.
90s, like, knockoff R&B group or something.
right.
It's a very close. Cthulhu is very close to a bad word in Spanish. So probably
It
have
is.
problems
It's also a
with-
bad word. Yeah, you're right.
Sorry.
No, it's close. Not the word. Close.
It's close. It's not there
All
yet.
right, good.
listen, concha is a perfectly
the
fine
word?
and acceptable word.
Oh,
You didn't
God.
say anything about not swearing in languages that were not English.
Oh,
so-
I didn't swear. I
That's
just
true.
said
help
fine.
that.
That
We
is true.
can
Okay.
swear in Lovecraftian languages.
Can't help
Right,
that.
right.
Oh, I could do that easily. Just let me do my
has to
fake
raise.
Japanese.
I'm sure there's an alternate reality where every word we've said so far is a curse, though.
I completely agree.
One thing we learned from the multiverse of madness.
Exactly.
I
All
want
right,
to spoil
so-
it for everybody. Sorry, never mind. Moving on.
Oh, you can
So,
spoil
Dirk
it.
and Scoot, tell us a bit about this project, because I know we interviewed Scoot a while back about it, and he did a great job explaining it, and I love his art. I love all the stuff that you guys got going. It's just such a cute, fun project. And then Dirk is a villain in it, so
Well,
you don't want to start.
technically, it's not me. It's dastardly Dirk, who wears a purple scarf and has purple glasses. So that was actually something that, pardon me, Scoot and I talked about when we started the book. Was we co-own the book, so it's like Scoot can't co-own me. So we kind of made this alternate multiverse, if you will.
There
version.
you go.
And it was really a situation where, I mean, I wasn't looking to put myself in a book or make myself villain or anything like that, but I think people are just so familiar with the avatar of, the Dirk Manning avatar. And then
Right.
Scoot is such a fantastic cartoonist that I don't remember, Scoot. Did we ever actually talk about anything else? Do you remember? Or was it just kind of like, we'll just make it that and that was it? I mean,
Yeah, there was I think originally I did a sketch card at Fantasticon in Toledo of version of the Dastardly Dirk character chasing Cthulhu Jr.
yeah.
And then I showed you that, and I had a vision in my head and you had an idea in your head, and we kind of merged them together, because my original idea was more like a Dennis the Menace, where he's constantly chasing this little guy around, more like episodic. And then you had the more of like the slow build story idea. So but I don't know, I think we had discussed, we had always had it like this character with the tall top hat, real skinny, but there was a moment where we were like, well, what if we just made it like a regular guy? But then we eventually came back to the Dick Dastardly version of Dastardly Dirk.
Yeah. I found one of the earliest sketches. If you guys want to take a peek, I don't think I've ever shown this before.
Hold on.
I keep it right by my desk. Remember this, Scoot?
Yep. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
from the
that's
same,
so
probably
cool.
the same convention. Yeah.
Yeah. This was it. This was the original when we started talking about it. Definitely more, a little more punk.
Yeah, that was actually the second drawing, because you know who has the first drawing, the original sketch card?
Peapod.
Yeah, Peapod has it, and so that's the second drawing I did. But he looks the same. He has that punk hat and stuff.
Yeah.
But our friend Peapod has the original sketch card somewhere. So
Yeah. So there you have it. But
yeah.
And what's funny, and people don't think recognize this nearly enough. So obviously we have the Dastardly Dirk, which is based on my author photo, my avatar. But then you got Cthulhu Jr. You got Junior, who's wearing Scoot's red jacket. So really, we're both kind of
That's
in
true.
there. Not to say that Scoot's a tentacle monster from another dimension, but they sure dress the same, don't they?
They do. Wow, that's so funny. It's like your alter egos are fighting each other.
Yeah, they're chasing each other.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Just like real life. But no. But yeah, no, the story though came together. Some mutual friends of ours actually introduced us and said, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if Dirk and Scoot, you guys did a book together, because Dirk's so scary and Scoot's so cute in all ages." And we talked a little bit about the premise at that Fantasticon Toledo show. The first one, it was the debut Fantasticon Toledo. And then we took a ride together to Cincinnati Comic Expo and plotted the whole miniseries in a car ride. It just went. I mean, I was driving, Scoot was taking notes, and in a couple hours we had the whole thing plotted out. So
yeah, sorry about that. My son came in here. He's still trying to go to bed. But
don't worry about it. That happens.
I heard. I got the gist. Yeah. We came up with the whole story pretty much. Because then I had all those notes in my sketchbook, and I typed up the outline later, and then I sent it to Dirk. And the flow of the book is still pretty true to that outline, like chapter by chapter. It's pretty amazing how close it is to that original outline we came up with in the car.
Yeah. Just riffing off each other, because a lot of people know Scoot as an artist, and I think that something else that I hope people realize is that Scoot's a heck of a writer as well, and funny, funny, and just some of the gags, and even just today looking through the PDFs, the book, and I'm like, oh, that was a Scoot gag right there, and just laughing and stuff like that, So he's a double threat, to say the least.
Yeah, but it was easy. I mean, we kind of really had the same vision for the book. So when Dirk sent over the script, it was like, I don't remember having barely any back and forths with tweaking anything, did we? I mean, there was maybe a couple lines of dialogue that I suggested we change, but it was pretty much like your scripts were pretty easy to follow. I mean, it was good. It was good stuff. The only thing was we had to well, we'll save that. We had another major thing we were going to do in the book, but we tweaked it and changed it at the end, but we still might bring it up at some point. But I can't really talk about it because it would be a spoiler. So
Yeah. But because we created the beats together, and that's how it is we kind of made the beats, and then I wrote the scripts, and then gave them to Scoot, and he would tinker a little bit. But I mean, really, it was just honoring that outline of what we did together. And pardon me, I apologize, sinuses. And it was fun. And I remember the one thing that initially we had to kind of work out was, Scoot was kind of like, this isn't, maybe something a little more verbose, a little bit more wordy for kids and stuff like that. And I really wanted to make this an all ages book where adults can read it and get one thing out of it.
Right.
And kids can read it and get something else out of it, so it's kind of like the kids will laugh at the monster and some of the things like that, and the jokes with the monsters and stuff, while adults hopefully will maybe even empathize or identify a little bit more with like Dastardly Dirk's story arc and what he's got going on and things like that. But that was it. It was a very smooth process. It was it just clicked and fired on all cylinders. And we were getting ready to put the first issue came out, for Halloween Comic Fest 2019, and the ad on the back coming in 2020, the full book. And then 2020 happened, and
boom.
It was kind of decided that maybe we don't want to put out a kid's book about the end of the world during
the world.
Yeah, as soon as you said 2019, I was just about to ask. I mean, what a time! like just right before the world ended.
Yeah, well, that was it. We originally had a whole different Kickstarter video lined up. We had the stuff. We were about to go, and then things started. Then we were in the Dark Ages.
I do think the Kickstarter video we have now is a lot better because I watched that other one, and I'm not a very good actor, and it was more of Dirk and I acting, and it was not very good. I mean, it was probably funny to our friends, but if you really want people to buy into these things, you got to like make it a little bit more not so inside baseball,
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, we did it at our buddy's comic shop, and again, just so crazy. Like the comic shop doesn't exist anymore. I mean, just so many things have evolved, and yeah, the videos better now, for sure. But we did also have a giant vat. The only thing I miss is the giant vat of ice cream, and just all smeared and covered in ice cream at the end. But we're here now. The Kickstarter is going really well. We're really, really excited. People go to CthulhuJr.com and check it out. Plus, and we have plushies now as well, which we wouldn't have had back then.
That's true. And that is such a cute plushie. It's a really cute plushie. The character's cute enough, but you know how sometimes it doesn't translate. But your plushie actually translated well into plushie form.
And he's not too far off in size from Junior in the book. I mean, Junior's like a little kid, like a toddler size, and the plushie's pretty big. It's like 12 inches, right, Dirk?
Yeah, it's 12-inch plushie, and that's one of the things too that, again, all hail Scoot. His cartooning, his illustration style is so good. And there's always, I think, I don't want to speak for you, Scoot, but I think it's a certain amount of trepidation when someone adapts your stuff into another medium.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got the mock-up of the photo or the design of the plushie, and I was like, oh man, I said, I think he's gonna like this. I hope. And like, wow, yeah, you nailed it, and yeah, because his Scoot art's so good, and it was just such a simple's maybe not the right word, but it was an easy one-to-one correlation to do that.
Yeah,
exactly what
I was
saying,
really
man.
happy with how it looked.
Cute.
Yeah, these things can go south quick, making plushies and stuff like that. So it looks, I mean, at least from the picture, it might be different when we get it, but if it looks anything like that picture, it looks pretty spot on. I mean, I couldn't imagine anything more accurate to the real, little character. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, just from the image I'm looking at right now, it seems like it would be easy to make a doll that was spot on, but at the same time, I've seen some toys and I've seen some things that don't look anything like they're supposed to.
Yeah, there he is.
Which still happens. So
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, I mean that's great.
That is amazing. It looks like the cartoon came to life.
Yeah.
And like Scoot said, he's almost life size. He's 12 inches.
So people can cosplay as these characters.
Right. And then I don't know about you, Scoot, but I realized just yesterday or so, it kind of dawned on me. I've had statues and things like that made of characters I've created or co-created. This is the first official toy of a character the original character I've done.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for me too. Yeah, toy, because I've had like pins, and I've
Right.
done like paper toys,
Yeah.
but those don't count because you got to build them yourself. So this is like the first
Yeah.
pre-packaged like produced toy. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So it's really cool. So again, we wanted to make it worth the wait for people, and again, he's just so cute.
Yes.
That's
That's what you can't get away from. It's how cute he is.
What's that?
That's what you can't get away from is how cute he is. Like I'm trying to find like cash in the house. Going, I think I can do this.
You got to remember, the good thing with Kickstarter is you pledge now, and the money doesn't come out until the campaign ends on June.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So you got time to shake out the cushion. You just order what you want now. You unlock more stretch goals for everybody. We're closed in on unlocking the 4th stretch goal in a week, which is pretty remarkable. We have some really stiff competition right there on Kickstarter right now. And we got the guy from Moon Knight. I was blanking out his name, Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Doing a book and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
It's so funny you said that because that week when you guys debuted the Kickstarter, there was like 10 Kickstarters debuting at the same time, and I'm like, dang.
There's never a good time, and Kickstarter is such a cool thing because it's such a great equalizer, and I posted, I think it was today, about how I love doing Kickstarter because it allows us to do things like this: do a plushie, do a limited edition hardcover, do all these other bonus things that you can't necessarily do if you just release the book directly into the market.
That is true.
Maybe will a retail chain pick up the junior dolls with the book and do like a combo deal? Maybe. But either way, the people who pre-order the book through CthulhuJr.com, as seen on the screen, this is the only way you'll get the Kickstarter exclusive hardcover edition of the book.
Right.
With that art, with all the characters on it, the standard edition of a different cover. And then if it becomes a movie or a TV show or whatever, you only get this one time. You're not going to do this later. This is the first printing. That's it. However many we make, the end.
What I like about Kickstarters is that you actually get something special usually during the Kickstarter that you probably won't get once the book is out where you can buy it somewhere else. You'll get something that nobody else will get because you got it during the Kickstarter.
Exactly. This rewards the people that are supporting the creation of the book up front.
Exactly.
And when you
Kids
receive
can't do this all day. Get in there. It's late at night. Worst cases, it saves some money on fast food at the end of the month.
Exactly.
Back these guys. Look how cute that is.
And when you get something from Kickstarter, you have the satisfaction that I help make this even just a little
Exactly.
bit.
You're exactly right, man.
Yeah.
There's Kickstarters where I've chipped in $5, or I say no reward and chip in, $10-$20 even, just because I want to help this thing come to life.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'll buy just like the digital version, so there's no shipping costs and things like that. Some people still look at crowdfunding like you're out there shaking a tin can or something, and it's like, please, alms for the poor. Like, no, this is the chance to get the coolest version of the stuff.
Exactly.
This is the pre-order window. And the other thing, and I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody else, but I always set up the campaigns that there's free US shipping, meaning the price you see is the price you pay. That's it.
That helps out a lot.
You do $60. You're doing the BFF bundle. You get the book and the hardcover and all the stretch goals. $60. It's $60. When the campaign ends, they charge a card. It's $60. Like, oh, now you need another $20 for shipping and blah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
There's Kickstarters where like, hey, I want to do the $30 one, and when you do the $30 one, hey, it's $50. Only because the
shipping is nuts right now.
I mean,
I get it, but we factor and what you see is what you pay, and that's good. Again, that's paying it forward to the people who are backing what Scoot, Sean, and Leah and Sourceplan are doing up front.
Exactly.
I'm very fortunate that we can be in a position to do it this way. So,
and that's good. And like you said, like I already support it. I supported like really early on. So I'm still when I'm saying I'm shaking the cushions and trying to find the money, I already have the pledge going and I'm looking for the money. And that's sometimes what you got to do.
You got time, my friend.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. Usually these things last for about 30 days. If you can't find the money by then, it's not meant to be.
Right, exactly. Well, and like you said, there's a lot of cool stuff. Scoot's got another book out right now that's worth
Exactly.
supporting. I'm sure he'll talk about that in a moment. And I get it. And that's why we try to build tiers that everyone can get in where they want to get in. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want the hardcover, just get that. If you just want the plushie, get that. You want both, get that. You want the shirt, get that. We try to build different access points for different people. So,
which is great because if you don't order it through the Kickstarter, you don't get the hardcover.
Right.
Which that means that you get the hardcover because you ordered it through the Kickstarter.
Right. Or for some reason they do another hardcover, you don't get this cover.
Exactly.
One time only. This is it. This is the deluxe edition.
And of course, if you don't want the hardcover, you can actually get the soft cover. You have an option. Which is one of the good things about Kickstarter is you have options. There's options in here. If and look, you got the book in the stuffy bundle. Here it is, $60.
Yep. No hidden costs, no extra shipping. That's it. $60. You get it, and you get all the stretch goals we unlock.
That's another good thing. Yeah.
Right now, the first week, the Ranger cookie recipe. So
that was a funny one. I was like, the Ranger cookie recipe.
The Ranger cookie is a character in the book.
Yes.
I figured you would explain that. Go ahead.
Dirk can explain it. It's his recipe. I don't even know how to make them.
Yeah. Scoot's hoping they unlock it so he gets the recipe, because in the book, all the monsters and stuff like that, they all
especially Vlad.
Yeah, Vlad the vampire. They all love these freaking Ranger cookies, and it's an homage to my great grandma, who, when I think of her, one of the things I always think of is that she used to always have these Ranger cookies that she'd make, and for years, like, you couldn't even find them in stores, and there was no internet back then. So it's like you'd even Google this stuff, let alone, my great grandma's recipe for how to make these amazing cookies. So in the book, like Scoot said, the Ranger cookies are kind of like a character, because like Dastardly Dirk always brings the Ranger cookies to the meetings, which is one of the other reasons they let him in. And it's kind of a homage to my great grandma, who was the first one to ever take me to a comic book shop when I discovered comics.
Ooh.
And she was taking me every week. And so you can thank my great grandma and her Ranger cookies for every book I've written since, because she's the one that got me there. So this is like my way to kind of honor my great grandma with the Ranger cookies.
Pay it forward, pay it back. Yep.
Why in particular did she take you to go to a comic book shop?
Oh, what's that?
Why did she take you to go to a comic book shop? Is there
a story behind that?
Yeah, I asked. Sorry, this is really anticlimactic. No, I discovered comics through as a teenager in a skateboard shop, in Toledo. Again, everyone on the team is originally from Northwest Ohio, and there was a skateboard shop, and they had this wall. I went in one day, and out of the blue, we had this wall of comic books.
I remember that.
And I was like, holy mackerel, And the reason that I was attracted to this was because I'm such a voracious reader. It was like, if I find a title I like, I'll have something new to read every month.
Yep.
And there it was. Like, I don't know, Scoot, if that's how, what your attraction to comics were. That, for me, that was it. To me, it was like getting something new to read.
What was it?
Yeah.
The first one that grabbed you, if you remember.
Mm.
What comic was it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Ralph, you gotta make him big.
I make them big.
I have it. I have the issue.
I was going to say, there's no way a story that personal you don't have it.
Oh,
cool.
I know that one.
Oh,
And I'll tell you why I bought it, because I used to watch the show when I was little. But what really attracted me to this, of all things, was I loved it was part 4 of 1. And I thought it was so witty that it was like counting down. And I'm like, this would be cool. I'm like, wait, isn't the Hulk green? Why is he gray? I'm like, oh, for a dollar? Yeah,
Oh
for
my
a dollar?
god, I miss dollar books.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll buy that for $1.
Oh, man.
But I don't
it's
know.
funny that you mentioned that because we've been talking about it recently on the show a couple of times. Is the fact that I feel like kids don't have that in to comics like they used to have it. You know,
Yeah.
before it was easy to go to the store and buy a book. Now, as a kid, you got to decide: do I want to spend $5 on a book?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like the industry needs to start doing something. And I feel like this type of Kickstarter is one of those things because you have parents out there that go, "Hey, look, that looks interesting. Let me get it for my kid."
Well, and even having books that are all ages accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, make no mistake, I'm a horror guy, and I don't write I haven't written a lot of stuff traditionally. You can give to little kids, but that is important.
That's why Dirk, good friend Mike Nagan, is great at the Read Pop shows because he always makes sure there's like a designated kids row of comic
Nice.
creators.
Yes.
So then I'm not going to be placed next to someone that's doing like rated R horror stuff that a parent won't bring their kid near my table. But also it keeps, it's almost like that's the easiest way to get access to a lot of these things. Now it's harder when you don't live near one of these bigger cities that have the big shows. So that's where, like, back in the day, like a 7-Eleven or gas stations, when they used to have comics, that's how I found them. But that's just not the case anymore. Those places aren't really around.
Yeah, speaking of Read Pop, they do New York Comic Con, and Sundays is always Kids Day, and there's always a lot of kids, so it kind of works. I mean,
yeah,
it kind of works. I don't know how much it brings kids into comic stores and all that stuff, but at least it's getting stuff into their hands. It's cool. It's always nice to see all the kids there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's good. It's funny that you say that because one of the reasons I got into comics was because it's so accessible. I could go to the corner store, pick up the latest issue, and you can't do that anymore. You can't go to the corner store or the newsstand like you used to be able to and pick up the comic, so easily, so accessible.
Yeah, there's all these comic shops in Toledo, and they've been around, some of them, for a while, but I didn't know about them when I was a little kid. So I got my comics from, Food Town and 7-Eleven and places like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about the digital distribution of comics lately? Comixology and all the people like getting on what's that other website they're all on?
Yeah, it's when I found out that there were whole shops dedicated to just comic books. Again, go back to my great grandma. I'm like, I need to check this out.
Yeah.
And when you go in there and you see that it's not only just the stuff that you would see at Food Town, or like back then too. And Scoot, I'm sure you remember this. If you for some reason you couldn't get to the grocery store that week or that month or whatever, and you missed the issue.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You had to go find a comic store.
Yeah. Or sometimes they didn't get the issue for some reason. Like 7-Eleven would get like issues 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Like, where's issue 2? And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, I'm trying to collect these. They're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Take it out of here. Right.
Yeah.
Jordan Hager says, what originally got me into comics, funny enough, is Dirk Manning.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jordan. Checks in the mail, brother. Checks in the mail.
I've told these guys several times that I used to read you on a Newsarama, and whenever I post something and you like it, I'm like, oh, it's like, what?
I bet if you go right now and just start liking a bunch of things on his page, by the end of the show, we'll see him in a heart attack.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, to me, again, it was one of those things about, I always said if I got to the point that I was making comics, I would do everything I could to help other people make comics because it's such a privilege to be able to do this. It really is. And then as you go through this journey, and again, it was mutual friends with Scoot and I that introduced each other, and come to find out that, we were, from the same part of the country, the same area, basically, same area code. And so doing the stuff like Right or Wrong and Newsarama and stuff like that, to me, it was just, again, being in a position to be able to do that stuff was really, really important to me. And I don't take that stuff for granted. Now, again, like you have on the screen, Kickstarter, day one, we got funded with a $7,000, almost $8,000 goal. We pre-sold almost $8,000 worth of comics the first day.
Wow.
That's not insignificant. Or Kickstarter designating us a project we love within the first day. You know,
It's just amazing, man.
you know, or SourcePoint picking up the book and running with it, or
Yeah.
saying that, yeah, you are going to be the first plushie toy re-release to Rip Rap Toys. It's a really cool place to be. So, you know, you
Yeah.
continue to find ways to pay that forward and recognize who supports you. And so thank you, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words, you know, and again, working with people like Scoot, who are so talented, you know, and it's a cool place to be. You know, it's a really nice place to be, and to make books now that I writing horror. You know, people bring their kids up to the table all the time, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. You know, you might not. This stuff's okay, but you gotta be careful. Then, of course, you always get like the 7-year-old, like, I've been watching Friday the 13th since I was 4. And the parents are like, yup, like, dig in, you know, you know, so be it. But it's important to me to be able to. I probably shouldn't say this. I'm going to, and jam me up on this if you want. This is probably the most controversial thing I've ever said ever live.
Viewers, this is just between us, okay?
Yeah,
Just between us.
Get ready to
You're good.
screenshot this.
yeah.
You're good. It's just between us.
I actively defended and still defend the Twilight book series.
Makes sense.
The reason is
That was
not
going to be controversial.
well. I'm not saying it's the best written literature ever to exist, but what it does is it was an entry point to the genre of horror, which I love so much, especially for teenage girls. You know, and we
Good
gotta
point.
have those entry points.
Yeah.
Cthulhu Jr. It's an entry point for kids that want to explore horror, but do it in a way that's appropriate. You know, there's nothing horribly savage or out of line in this book. It's fun, and you know, there's maybe a couple. I don't know, Scoot. Would you say there's any scary stuff in it? Really? I mean,
Not really. It's all it's like if Hanna-Barbera did a story about monsters, it's more like that. It's not.
Yeah.
It's less about the
Teen
horror and
pregnancy,
just more about
bro.
like Monsters Inc. I wouldn't say is a horror
Yeah.
movie.
Right.
That's what it's more like, that type of scary, where it's like there's monsters and there's Halloween, there's all the spooky stuff, but there's not really anything scary. There's like some creepy scenes maybe, but it's not going to give you nightmares. So.
I figure if you can handle Scooby Doo, you know, this will be, you know, this goes down your alley because, you know, Scooby can get a little intense.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good example. Yeah, Scooby Doo has scary guy, pumpkin-headed monsters and stuff. So do
Exactly.
we. Yeah.
yeah. Literally,
What
yeah.
defines something as horror, though?
But it's a safe place.
Yeah.
Where kids can explore horror and explore that stuff, you know. And I remember being little and watching horror movies, and my parents watching them with me, and this back in the VCR days. And like, oh, here's the sex scene, or like cover your eyes, you know. And of course, watching
We're right.
I'm not going to say what it says about our values in a society that I can watch people be decapitated, but not watch sex scenes. But whatever, you know. But it's one of those things where the older I got too, I started to realize it's like, man, you know, there's so many good movies out there that we could introduce younger audiences to horror, but they put in gratuitous nudity or over the top violence. And there's something to be said for a good PG-13, or in this case, PGG horror genre story. Yeah. You know, and that was important to me to do this, and Scoot had the perfect sensibility for that, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know anything. Dirk's like the horror guy. I mean, I know surface level horror, but Dirk knows all the, like, can write in all the winks and nods to other things. I just know, you know, we're on the same wavelength in terms of, you know, I do a lot of these books, so I kind of know what's going to work and what's going to be appropriate. But we never had any discussions about that. It was always appropriate stuff, but there's some winks and nods to things that you'll know if you follow horror, but you don't need to follow it to get the enjoy the book and laugh at the book. And
yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing with Scooby-Doo. You don't need to know horror in order to follow Scooby-Doo.
Right. There's little homages and things like that. Exactly. And Scoot was a great collaborative partner in this too, because again, he lives in the world more of all ages books. And obviously, and it's not like I live and breathe and only watch horror stuff, but just some of the little flourishes that he would put in and things like that really strengthened the product as a whole. And like you said, there was never even a situation like, oh, we got to tone this down. I mean, that's never on the table. Yeah. It's just very all ages appropriate. Yeah. And these entry points are important, just like Twilight was an entry point, and different things that maybe, I love horror. I love the genre. I love all the things you can explore under the genre of horror, and to have a truly all ages book that kids can pick up and read this funny book with monsters in it, that's wonderfully illustrated and hopefully at least decently written. It's a cool place to be, and I'm really happy we can offer this type of stuff.
Jordan here says, I never owned any Marvel, DC, etc. My first book, I think, was Nightmare World Omnibus, which then turned into me finding Source Point Press, as well as supporting other creators under the SPP name. My first ever backed Kickstarter was Butts and Seats, and my most recent one is Cthulhu Jr. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, that's cool, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, Jordan, very much.
Ralph, did you say Cthulhu again?
I said it again, yeah. I'm going to keep saying it.
He never says Cthulhu right.
I'll say it every once in a while. I like the sound of Cthulhu. It sounds like
the good thing is it's on the cover of the book, but I don't think we say it maybe more than once or twice in the book. So you don't have to worry about messing it up when you're reading the book.
Yeah,
it's on the cover, but he's Junior in the book, so we just refer to him as Junior.
The great evil one.
Yeah.
The great evil one.
Great evil one.
I like how I say it.
Kafufala?
Kafufala.
Well, we
just add another tooth.
We do a sequel. We should have Junior's cousin Cthulhu come in.
There you go.
Yeah, but then Ralph can't keep calling him Cthulhu because then he's gonna be like, Ralph, that's the cousin. That's not the protagonist.
Hey, that makes it better for me because now it's actually a character. There you go.
But it's the wrong character.
It could be his pet, his dog or something.
There you go.
There you go. His little pet. Right? Dog with little tentacles and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Scoot, I know that you've been working a bunch of stuff yourself. When we went to your table, we saw all the other stuff you have there, and you do some amazing pieces. Your piece is actually up there behind the book, so
cool.
I still have it up there.
The Junior?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what else are you doing? We got a little bit of time, so we can talk a little bit about other stuff that you're doing.
I just had a book come out over here that came out. It's called The Agents of Slam with Oni, and that just came out the week before the Junior Kickstarter. So I'm kind of trying to balance my promotion of both of those so I don't overwhelm people with both books. But that's my main book right now, other than the Kickstarter that I'm promoting. So Agents of Slam, it's like a wrestling
wrestling
pro wrestling / G.I. Joe kind of book, where the president of the United States is a former wrestling promoter, and when he becomes president, he enlists the help of the pro wrestlers as his secret agents to go on missions. And the high concept is, if the rules of professional wrestling, as ridiculous and silly as they are, if those applied to real life, like how would people behave? And so these characters all take it serious in the book, but there's a lot of silly, crazy stuff happening. So
it looks fun. When I was looking at it, it looks really fun, and I was like, "Whoa, what's this?" And
it's an action comedy adventure, similar to the Adventures of Cthulhu Jr., which is also, I would say, an adventure comedy. So yeah.
It's funny that you've made it about wrestling, because I've always said I'm surprised there's not more wrestling type superhero comics, because it just makes sense to me. To me, when I was watching wrestling as a kid, I was like, this is comic book material. Why aren't we using?
Yeah, WWE's put out wrestling books before with their characters, and it's just not the same because they have certain parameters they have to work within, and we could really cut loose by using like original characters in our book. So,
well, that makes it. In my opinion, that just makes it so much more fun because you can do so much more with it. You're not constrained to these are the WWE stars and what they're doing. Now these are your wrestlers, and you can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah, it was cool because Dirk's friends with Shivani and some of those Arn Anderson, those guys. And over the years, I've become friends with Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian from AEW. So Daniels gave us a pull quote, but then also Becky Lynch from WWE gave us a pull quote for the book, which is awesome. And that was just through Twitter, just reaching out on Twitter, and she just replied. So it was pretty cool.
I do like the fact that I saw Dirk when he had his other book. He had all this interaction with the wrestlers, and it made it so much more beautiful. To be like, oh look, the wrestlers are actually being part of this. The fact that they were promoting your other book was every time I would pop up on one of those things where the wrestler comes up, and you should get this, and I'm like, this is like being back as a kid back in the 80s.
Yeah, Sting was the best one they got for the.
Go ahead. You can say it.
Oh, here. Yeah. So this was, again, talking about Kickstarter. This is the Kickstarter hardcover exclusive of Butts and Seats. So when you go to get the book in stores now, you can still get the book, but you get a trade paperback version on the Kickstarter.
And you won't get the gold belt either.
Yeah, the championship edition. Right. But yeah, it's funny, like Scoot's point about, Sting being the best one. And, everyone had different favorites. And that's the glory of wrestling. And again, that's why, Agents of Slam, I'm so excited to dig into that book too, because like you said, wrestling's so much fun, man. It's such a cool thing, and it lends itself to comic books.
Dude, man, I was looking through the stuff, because you prepare for the show, and I'm like, dude, I love this. This is incredible. Thanks. And the art again, Scoot's art is always beautiful and amazing, but it just like pops from this. Look at this.
Yeah, our colorist on there is Heidi Black, and I know Heidi from working at a previous company together, so that worked out well for the book as well.
It's just really pops. It's so beautiful. You drew it very well, and the colorist should get much credit for this because the book just like stands out to me a big time.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we just like I said, released it a couple weeks ago, so it's brand new as well. So if after you support the Junior Kickstarter, swing over to Amazon and pick up a copy of Agents of Slam.
Yeah, and you should, because they're both beautiful projects, and I love Scoot's art. It's amazing. It kind of reminds me of the classic animation that I grew up with as a kid. So
this is my favorite thing about the Junior.
I'll put you right up.
Well, I like the back cover here that we did.
That's nice.
With all the villains.
Yeah.
And then
that is too cute.
We got all the characters in the back too.
Yeah, our little and again, that was something else that Scoot brought up. It's like, let's do like a little character guide in the back so they know their names and stuff like that.
Yeah, kids like that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is like a brand new thing. So kids like to think, I mean, I've had this happen many times where kids will pick up like one of my other books is Sammy the Samurai Squirrel. And to them, they don't know that it's on level with like SpongeBob or something else because they're picking this thing up and they're like, oh, who are all the characters? So anytime you can list the characters, and I think I got that idea from Art Baltazar and Franco from All Yeah Comics, because they put their original characters in the backs of their books and they list them out, and then kids draw those characters. And I think they were doing it with this book too, right, Dirk? Kids will draw the characters, but they usually draw them from that back page because you can see their whole bodies. And
I love this as a kid because you're right. Kids like to draw the stuff that they're looking at. Yeah,
except for the old man, no one's going to draw him.
Or Moreland.
Yeah, my favorite guy's the Pumpkin. He's cool. He's like a Skeletor with a pumpkin head.
Right,
that's
like
pretty cool
character a little bit, or Skeletor. Yeah, And again, it was so fun. And again, this is one of the, again, I just want to really put Scoot over that. This is one of those times where when he brought that up, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, that's nothing that I normally do with my books, but he's exactly right. You know, for an all ages book for kids to see, oh yeah, you know, who is that character, you know, and things like that. And, you know,
Because you might miss their name when you're reading the
Exactly.
book. Like you
Mhm.
might just be like, "Who was that Pumpkinhead guy?" Instead of flipping through the book to find it, you can just see it right in there.
yeah,
We'll have to make sure we put that in the Kickstarter book too, Dirk. Like
yeah, totally.
the
Oh,
finished book.
totally. Yeah, that needs to be done because I gotta admit, I have my number one back here and I enjoy it very much. And that's one of the things that you like is the fact that you know you look back there and look at all the characters and you're like, hey, there they are, and I know who they are. It's
Yeah.
like as an adult, you know, you start to lose track of people.
Well,
So not just kids, man. You know,
Yeah.
there's times where I'll read a book and like, who the hell was that character again?
I'm waiting for the Arnie fan art. I think that Arnie, as you get through the whole book, Arnie here, he has his moment in the sun. He does. He really does come through, and you know, we don't really see too much of him in the first chapter that, you know, people have read so far. But he's only in like a couple of panels.
Yeah, I think at some point all the characters kind of get their moment there.
Yeah, which was something that was really, you know, important to do and things like that. And actually, one of my favorite, I don't say gags, but one of my favorite bits in the book involves Arnie. And again, it was just, you know, with the way Scoot illustrates and stuff like that, that's so expressively, you get to do a lot of certain types of humor. And there's a bit towards the end with Arnie that was, it makes me start coughing. Makes me laugh every time I think about it. So hopefully we'll get Arnie fan art as well at some point. We'll get some.
I was gonna say that's always good when you can see that the author and the artist enjoy their own book because you know sometimes somebody will be talking about it and they're like, oh, it's a book, you know, but when you're actually laughing about some skit that you did in the book, that just shows something.
And again, maybe it's really funny to me. I don't know, but it makes me laugh, and it's in the last chapter. There's a bit with him that just cracks me up, and that's been the thing that's been so hard about all this is like knowing the whole story and knowing how big and exciting it gets by the fifth and final chapter, which is an oversized chapter. The stuff we pull out, it's just like big third act, you know. So I've been you know, telling, you know, my friends, my readers, it's like, go get Agents of Slam now, read that, enjoy that, and then you get done with that, like, oh, okay, what's next?
That's a good idea.
Because Cthulhu Jr. is pretty much done, and as soon as the campaign's done, we can prep the files for print and go and get it turned around right away.
Well, that's why I said order Junior first.
Yes.
Read Agents of Slam. By the time you're done, maybe Junior will be ready.
Junior will be how to feel that.
By the time you're done, and I mean after you've read Slam about 100 times, since Junior's gonna be, it'll be a while, right?
It'll be a couple months. Right?
Yeah. You know, well, you know what? You need an appetizer, and then you have the full meal. Come on.
Well, I would like to say, like the one shot. If you got the one shot, this was the appetizer. Slam is a meal, I'm sure, in of itself.
There you go.
How many pages is Slam, Scoot?
It's like about 160 pages. Yeah.
Oh, that's a meal.
Yeah, it's a meal. It's like an 8-issue miniseries if you think of it that way.
It's a fast read, though. It's a quick read because there's a lot of action, a lot of fight scenes. But that's only if you don't savor those pages and look at them. If you just skip through real quick, it'll be a quick read.
Well, I gotta admit, with the art you have, I think that they're gonna stay looking at the beautiful art as they go through the book, you know, because that's one of the things I loved as a kid was when something was really engaging, you know, something, you know, because sometimes they'll just throw stuff at you, but when something you saw and it was colored right, it was drawn right, it was like, and you just slowly go through the book because you wanted to savor it, you know. And those are the books I used to love as a kid, you know, the ones
that'll be like so. Like the first chapter of Slam has a lot of crowd scenes. And you can find Easter eggs in the crowd throughout, both inside jokes, but also like wrestling Easter eggs and non-wrestling Easter eggs.
Nice.
And then with Junior, like Dirk was saying, chapter 5, there's big, huge crowd scenes with a bunch of Easter eggs. So there's definitely in both books, there's these scenes in these pages where if you spend time on the page, you'll notice a lot of little nods to other things and funny,
Right.
silly things. So
It's funny you say crowd scenes because my mind automatically goes to George Perez, which we just
oh
lost.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
and I've always loved to see the artists who would try to do those crowd scenes because they're
yeah, I
just
like doing
so hard to pull off.
hmm Well, my style is cartoony, more like a Hanna-Barbera, like Looney Tunes style, so I can draw pretty fast, and I love doing those crowd scenes and adding things in there. And I think that was one of the things Dirk and I talked about was we incorporated some of our friends and co-creators in the backgrounds of the
cool.
book. So yeah,
little homages, even things like the name of the ice cream brand. There's a little Easter egg in that. That's kind of inside baseball, but the people that know. And
there's ice cream in the book, is what he's saying.
That too. Go
That's a spoiler.
Favorite type of ice
Spoiler.
cream.
Find your ice cream.
Yeah, there's not just cookies.
No.
What are you
Also
saying,
between
Matt?
us.
Yeah.
Between us, ice cream.
We're all friends here. But yeah, I know one of the ways I always like to consume comics is I'll read them the first time and just kind of go with the
Yeah.
flow of it.
Mhm.
But then I love to go back and then
Yeah.
just study the art, and a second time and go through. But because again, that voracious reader side of me, I just want to go through and read, and then go back through and like,
What did I miss?
for
Yeah.
example, I'll then go back and like go to those crowd scenes and like, oh, that's this person, that's this person. Hey, where am I? What the hell? What SCU's in here and no Dirk Manning or no. Just seeing that fun stuff that the artists get to do.
Yeah.
You're in the whole book. You're in the whole Junior book. What are you talking about?
Right, exactly. I get my.
I think Dom is saying something like that here. He's Doctor Strange 2 is pretty much Evil Dead 4. Marvel Magic titles always had a different vibe that included horror. Superheroes were treated as part of the world, but they had no clue of the magic world. Cthulhu Jr. is a children's comedy book, but it includes parodies and homages to so much of the horror genre. There you go. That's nice.
There's a photo. We're there. There's a review. You have my vote, Devil. Thank you.
And it's funny that he says that because one of the things that surprised me about the way Marvel has handled their universe is that at first they were like no magic, and I'm like, what do you mean no magic? Marvel's always had magic in it. It's always been horror. There's always been that aspect of it. It's always been there. How can you get rid of that? And it bugged me out when the MCU came out and they were like, we're not doing magic, or even Fox when they would do their version of things. Doctor Doom became something else instead of the half tech, half magic thing that he's supposed to be.
Right. Or even in the early Thor movies, they were kind of like, what you call magic, we call science. They kind of really were gentle about it up front. And of course, now you got Doctor Strange being the Iron Man of the next phase of movies, like the linchpin character. But yeah, again, it's fun. I think the most important thing is honor the best way to entertain us, if that makes sense. If you can do it with magic, do it with magic. If you can do it with something else, do it with something else. If you can do it with a world where pro wrestling is real, do it that way.
Yeah.
If you do it in a world where a little baby monster moves in across the street, do it that way. If you can get people to suspend their disbelief and understand the rules and the parameters of the world you're creating, which I think Doctor Strange 2 did again, without spoiling anything, did a fantastic job of that, of showing, no, there is a multiverse. No, there's all these different worlds going on. Exactly. It's still real to me, darn it.
There you go. Traveling root beer.
There it is.
And that's the whole thing. It's real. Like and it's so funny that they would do that because it was like the first time they did Punisher, and they said that we're not going to put the symbol of the Punisher on the shirt because it's too cartoony, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, what do you mean it's too cartoony? It's a book about a guy who kills people, and he wears the Punisher mask on it. That is not cartoony.
Well, what's funny is a little fun fact. The comic book adaptation of the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie, in the comic, towards the end, he spray paints the skull on his flak jacket. And I was like, yeah, there it is. And then the movie, and it's like, where is it? Instead, he's got little custom knives with little skulls on the head. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
I was like, that was stupid.
come on, man.
This is not
I mean-
the Punisher.
I
This
mean,
is the
live action is so strange. I remember when like the show Heroes came out, how they pretty much made fun of costumes. Oh, these things are ridiculous. And then they made movies where people were in costumes and people were fine with it. Everything is cool. But every now and then we'll get a Marvel something. We'll just make fun of the costumes again. I mean, like on Hawkeye, he was like, "Oh, that looks ridiculous." It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
They
but
can't
then he put
figure
it
out what
on.
they
though.
want to do. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, he did. He did. But he liked like the original costume. I'm like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, some of the original costumes, like some of them work, right? Like
yeah,
Iron Man, Thor, because
Yeah.
Thor's from a different like
Right.
realm. Captain America kind of works, and they explain it.
Mhm.
But then like Wolverine and Hawkeye, they have some of the coolest costumes in the comics, but I feel like those are the hardest to get to work, especially for Wolverine and his personality. Because what story would make sense where he would like put on that mask? You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. Some of it's harder, I think, to weave in, but like, I think
Yeah.
overall Marvel does a pretty good job with it. Like Daredevil, they all wear their suits. Spider-Man,
Mhm.
it's just there's a few there. Yeah, like Wolverine and Hawkeye, they have kind of those similar costumes with the things, and even Scarlet Witch, but they kind of
Yeah.
created eventually a version of her mask for the MCU that looks pretty cool.
I
Like
gotta
the
admit that
tiara thing.
that
Yeah,
the Scarlet Witch does look great. I like what they did with it.
maybe they could do
I
that
know.
with Hawkeye.
With Wolverine, we used to always joke that, like, why does Wolverine so tough? Why does he wear bright yellow and bright blue? It's like, well, think about it. Like, if you shoot him, he's not going to die. So if people are shooting at him, they're going to go for the bright yellow guy. So.
Yeah.
He's a bullet magnet, right?
Yeah, I read a Batman comic when I was younger, and he explained why he had the yellow oval, and it was because he had that's where he had the most padding, so that was like a target. But then he didn't wear it; he doesn't wear it anymore. So it's like that was kind of a cool explanation for having a logo on your shirt.
Yeah, so you got Robin with a bright yellow cape.
Well, we all know that's because he wants them to shoot Robin, not him.
You don't have parents, do you? It's like,
Oh man.
But no, really, what it comes down to is not being ashamed of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're reading a superhero book, and you're gonna have colorful costumes. That's fine. You're doing an all ages horror book. That's fine. You're doing wrestling. Again, I think it's fascinating, and Scoot is a big wrestling fan as well. So I think you can speak to this. There was a time when it was considered embarrassing to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And I know you're the same way. I was very proud of it. Like, I love wrestling. I love professional wrestling. And the fact that we both now get to, and the same with comics. So I think it's hilarious now that Scoot and I both being, again, not to speak for you, but being people that have been very open about our fandom and love of comics and of wrestling are both now doing professionally comics and wrestling stuff. And everyone else is getting on board with it. It's, there's a lesson there.
Yeah. But that's for all our fandoms, because now it's cool to be following the fandoms that we got in trouble for when we were kids. And the ones we got bullied for, the ones we got beat up for. Now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I watched the Avengers. I like that, and I'm like, what the hell, man? I'm happy it's happening, but I'm like, dude, where was all this when I was a kid? When I was standing up for myself and being my own superhero.
Right. Well, even with horror, it was funny. I was talking to my parents the other day, and they're like, "Remember when you were like in junior high, and they wanted they like kept calling you in the office because you were reading like Fangoria magazine and stuff like that?" And they're like, do you ever think about that now? And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I do." And it's like, I want to like take copies of my books and like send it to those people, and like, hey, look at now, I'm making money doing that stuff that you said I shouldn't be doing.
Exactly.
So again, it's just owning your fandom, owning what you like, and being proud of it.
Exactly.
And
I
I'm
completely
very
agree.
proud of Cthulhu Jr. I'm exceptionally proud of this book. I can't wait for people to see the whole thing. People can go to CthulhuJr.com, and we've been talking about this book for a while. There's a link on the front page of the campaign where you can read the whole first issue for free. just to see if it'll be your thing. So some people are like, oh, it's so cute. I don't know. Maybe this is too cute for me, blah, blah, blah. Man, we're putting our money where our mouth is. The whole first chapter, the whole first 22-page story is on there. Check it out. If you like it, support the book.
And I suggest you guys all check it out because I love my first issue. That's why it's up there. That's why I still have it. It's something fun, and I feel like this world just doesn't have that many fun things anymore.
No, it is important. It's important, I think, make you laugh and have fun. And again, I write mystery. I write really dark stuff. One of the books coming out after this one is a very dark horror book. I love that too, but I also like to have fun. And I like working with Sean and Leah and Scoot and SourcePoint. And it's nice to be able to offer something that's fun, that my nephews can read, that my nieces can read. When people bring their kids to the table, they can actually get a book. That's important. Yeah. And again, for adults too, be able to read this.
Exactly.
And then conversely, discover more stuff by Scoot, who has tons of great books out there for his readers, and SourcePoint's doing a kids line. So check out more of the kids book, the all ages books coming through SourcePoint, and Trash and Can It, and things like that. And just find out all the cool stuff there. And you get a plushie. I mean, there's a lot of win here.
Just the plushie alone is the big win, man.
Yeah. Yeah, get the plushie and just get the book on the side and then read the book when you have time. Right. That plushie first.
And that plushie is where the action is. And again, free shipping.
Yeah. Because we can't guarantee that we'll have the plushie at our Comic-Con tables. I mean, we'll probably have versions of the book, but it won't be the hardcover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That plushie is just so cute. Look at it.
I can't bring like 20 or 30 plushies to a show with me.
No, that's not going to work.
Travel with one cart full of books, and that's it. And these 12-inch plushies, I can't be. Yes,
I'm going to say if they're as big as they are, you're only going to be able to get like one or two.
Well, right, and I know people will be asking. It's like we had a 30-day window. You could have got it. Shake the change out of the cushions if you want it. And if we offer it later, I guarantee you it's probably not going to be with free shipping.
Yeah. And that's the amazing thing here, especially in the economy we're having right now, and the fact that shipping has turned into what it's turned into. The fact that you're just paying the amount that it says to get it. Look at it. This is just the book and the plushie right here. The BFF bundle, $60. That's all you're paying. That's all you're doing. And you still got 22 days, I think it is, to get all the stuff, to get all the money together so you can have it.
And all the stretch goals come with that. So we already had 3 stretch goals. We're going to unlock the 4th one. We have some round 2, round 3 stretch goals lined up as well, things like that. We have some really cool stuff. And all that's free as well. And then we do it. I don't think the shirt gets enough love. If you go to the next one real quick.
No problem.
Down one. We also included a shirt. I love the shirt, which has the Cthulhu.
It's a nice shirt, yeah.
From
I like Don't Be Evil.
It's a theme of the book. Because they always call Peter the great evil one. And no spoilers.
He might be evil. You don't know. You don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. But kids, don't be evil.
There you go.
Behavior. Or you have Dastardly Dirk's story arc about trying to decide the type of person he wants to be. And
I'm telling you, people, this is an amazing little book. You guys really want to get it. Scoot does an amazing job with the art, and you get that beautiful little stuffy that is just looks just like you've got the cartoon in your house. So, Dirk and Scoot, any last words you want to say?
Just thank you ahead of time for supporting the book, and we hope you like it. And thanks for having us on. You can follow me at Scoot Comics on Twitter and Instagram. And the closer we get to the release and stuff of the book, of the actual book, like after the Kickstarter, I'll be posting more like sketches of the character and stuff. But right now, just focus on that plushie, I guess.
Yeah. And again, like Scoot said, thank you very much. If Cthulhu Jr. looks good, check out Scoot's other work as well. Sammy Samurai Squirrel, Agents of Slam, all kinds of cool stuff that he's done. Remember, and share the love on this too. One of the things that breaks my heart is we do a campaign like this, we run it, and inevitably every time, the campaign ends, And someone's like, how did I not hear about this? I'm like, but I post on social media all the time, but someone once said posting on social media is like throwing red paint in the ocean. For 5 minutes, that's all you see. And 10 minutes, like it was never there. So if you are watching this, if you see the campaign, if you know someone who will like it, share the link with them. Share CthulhuJr.com with them. Give them a heads up.
Exactly.
The book is funded. The book is coming out. The plushie's coming out. At this point, we just want as many people to be able to get access to what they want as possible.
Exactly.
And that's all this is about. It's about, hey, if you want the deluxe version, if you want the stretch goals, if you want the plushie, free shipping, this is our thank you to those of you that make that possible to get it now. CthulhuJr.com. Thank you, Jordan. You're the man. On that side, speaking of social media, people can follow me, Facebook, Instagram, God help me, even Twitter, at Dirk Manning. Look for the guy that kind of looks like Dastardly Dirk a little bit, I guess. And again, it's very nice to talk to all of you. Thank you for having me on as well. This is I love talking to all you guys. I appreciate it. It's good seeing you, and thank you.
We always have a blast when we have you on. It's always fun. Look at that. We got to geek out. We got to see something new. We got to look at a bunch of new things, and we got to see that we should go support this. And here on the Bit Nabber, we like to say the same thing all the time. Sometimes we can't afford something, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing you can do. Like Dirk was saying, sometimes people haven't seen this, and it's probably their thing. And as soon as they see it, they like it. The more you spread the word, the better it is, because it actually helps out so much.
There he is.
There he is.
Oh, as we're talking, that's great. Oh,
Dib.
Oh, of course, the Shadow Man. It does his usual thing.
We need to mass produce that next.
It's all yours if you want it, sir.
I like to say the Shadow Rabbit makes dreams come true, because he does that stuff. And just to say, I've been working on my own comic book character, which is my beautiful little Hugbert, the superhero teddy bear.
Yeah,
and
like
Shadow Rabbit brought him to life, and I am so happy with it. And as time progresses, and I get closer to publishing it, this is like one of the things to keep my eye on, and it's a good way to keep myself moving forward.
Right on, man. Well, that's the name of the game. Put the stuff out, release it. Shadow Rabbit looks incredible, man. That is.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God, yeah.
Books come out.
I wish I had some sort of discernible talent. All I do is bang on a keyboard, and I keep changing the letters till the red squiggly line disappears. Then I go to the next one.
I know that.
I have the recipe for the Ranger cookies, but maybe not for long. So that's the one last thing you have.
Yeah, that was my.
Wow.
It might not last if people get that next level. So
I know, though. I'll be giving away everything.
yeah.
Well, I think what you do with your writing is amazing. And speaking of writing, I know we didn't talk about it today, but do you have any news on Volume 2 of our writing book?
Of Right or Wrong?
Yeah. Yes, right or wrong.
I know. Yeah, I know.
I'm like, no, tell us the.
Yeah, we're doing a second edition of Right or Wrong Volume 1. In fact, we're getting that put together right now. Right or Wrong Volume 2. It's funny, with Right or Wrong Volume 2, I know we got to go, but real quick, every time I thought I was to the stopping point with Right or Wrong Volume 2, something else amazing happened.
Right.
So I finally said December 31st of last year was the cutoff. That's it. I'm going to write about things to that point, because things like getting nominated for the Ringo Awards, and then becoming Butts and Seats becoming a #1 Amazon bestseller, and all the wrestlers cutting promos, and more stuff I kept learning about, wanting to talk about. So I finally decided December 31st last year was my hard cutoff date. So Right or Wrong Volume 2 is being worked on right now. We're putting second edition of Right or Wrong Volume 1 on the schedule first through SourcePoint Press. That way it'll be available again. The first edition's out of print. Goes with Caliber and Gary Reed. But we're going to do a new edition with about 30% updated material. It's still the same book. I'm not going to say people have to rebuy it, but I also don't have to talk about email yourself copies of your scripts so you have them.
Right.
Now we have digital storage.
Exactly.
So I went through Volume 1. I totally updated that. So about 30% new and updated content. and then volume 2 will be coming out after that. But yeah, it's in production right now. It's the pipe bomb, you know. It's the pipe bomb. Get ready, you know.
There you go. Everything's coming.
Everything's
happening.
Yeah, it's. I think it's very important to recognize when you have the opportunities to do what we do as comic creators. And I think it's also very important to be able to talk very freely about, you know, the things you've learned, you know, and if the earth swallows me whole the day after that book comes out, I just want people to know it exists. And here's stuff I can tell you. Doing this for 20 years, you know, here's what I can tell you.
And it goes along with what you've been saying. You want to share what you've learned. You want to help people out, and the book has helped me out considerably. Mine's just worn out, so I might have to pick up a new one.
Yeah, you know, it'll be worth it if you pick up the new edition of Volume 1. But at the same time, if people don't, the message is the same.
Exactly.
The moral is the same. The idea is the same. And now that I'm giving away, if we unlock it, the Ranger Cookie recipe, I got to come up with something new of value to give people, like Scoot says.
Exactly. That's why I brought it up, because like you got value. You're helping people out. They're becoming better writers. All right, guys. This has been the special edition of the Written Writ. Of course, if you guys want some more Written Writ, join us at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we will continue to talk geek stuff and a lot of stuff, and talk to Nomnivore about their new book, Dungeons and Dinos. There we go.
Not book.
Dungeons and Dinos. Wait. New Kickstarter. Dungeons and Dinos, which is a game, which is a card game. If you join us, you'll find out more.
There you go.
There we go. And
they
with
have
that,
a book, but it's not that.
Exactly. They do have a book. There you go. There you have it. I'll do what I usually do. I'll just talk us out of here, but join us later and have fun, guys. Keep supporting the Kickstarters.